Hello, it's time now for Eye on Africa with me, Yaneli. Your headlines on the continent tonight. The Democratic Republic of Congo marks 1 year since President Tshi-shékédi placed the provinces of North Kivu and Ituri under martial law. We take stock of the long-lasting security measures in the country's east. A Senegalese court decides on the fate of 6 midwives after the death of a pregnant woman. The case of Astou Sona sparks protests. Health professionals, though, say they lack the means to work correctly. And we bring you an interview of Kenyan sporting legend Kip Keino, this ahead of an international athletics event in his name. The competition is to feature high jump, hurdles and javelin throws. But first, it's been a year since the Democratic Republic of Congo's president imposed martial law on 2 eastern provinces. The government effectively gave full powers to the military and the police in North Kivu and Ituri in what's called an état de siège or state of siege. The aim was to restore security after decades of violent conflict, but the measure has come under increased scrutiny, with many calling for a change in strategy. Clem Bonneru has more.
1 year after imposing martial law in Ituri and North Kivu, President Felix Tshi-shékédi has yet to fulfill his promise to bring peace to the region. Of the 100 or so armed groups found in these 2 provinces, none has been completely dismantled. In fact, the ADF and militia active around Beni and in southern Ituri have expanded their area of influence, and the M23, which was defeated in 2013, has taken up arms again since November. Even more worrying is the sharp increase in civilian deaths. More than 2,500 civilians have been killed over the last 12 months. That's twice as many as in the previous year. In Goma, many residents say the state of siege has failed to achieve significant progress.
They've hunted down some army officers who are accused of collaborating with the armed groups, whether foreign or local groups. In spite of this, we must note that insecurity continues.
Before the state of siege and after the state of siege, it's all the same thing. When the military took over, we thought that security would improve, that our lives would improve. But now the situation is getting worse and worse. People are dying every single day.
Despite mounting criticism, DR Congo's National Assembly extended the state of siege for the 23rd consecutive time on Tuesday. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Sama Lukonde said that authorities were now considering restricting the area where the measure is implemented. President Felix Tshi-shékédi also promising to hold a roundtable conference to decide on possible adjustments.
A court in Senegal is deciding on the fate of 6 midwives in what's known as the Astou Sona affair. Sona was just 9 months pregnant when she died in hospital last April. The health professionals have been accused of failure to assist a person in danger. Their lawyers, though, argue that the case is unfair and that they did the best they could. France 24's Sam Bradpeace tells us more.
Astou Sona's case scandalized a nation. Last month in a hospital in Louga, northern Senegal, despite her cries for help, she was denied an emergency caesarean and shortly after died in agony. Now 6 midwives involved in the case are facing trial and up to 1 year in prison for failing to provide assistance to someone in danger. They deny the charges. In fact, they go as far to say that they did everything they can given limited resources to ensure Sona's survival. Now, they're backed by medical unions, but on the other side, Sona's family are pushing for a conviction. They actually say a 1 year prison sentence wouldn't be long enough. They want an example to be made out of these medical professionals because, quite frankly, mortality during childbirth is a phenomenon which is far too common in Senegal. The latest figures we have from 2020 show that nearly 800 women died in childbirth that year. Now, the verdict from this case is expected on the 11th of May, and many people across the country will be watching closely for the result.
Nigeria's central bank governor is hoping to become the next president. A spokesperson from the ruling All Progressives Party has said that Godwin Emefiele will put his hat in the ring. He'd first have to get past the party's primaries, though, where he's set to face the current vice president as well as the Lagos state governor. President Muhammadu Buhari is scheduled to step down next year after 2 terms in office. Staying in Nigeria, the continent's largest economy is suffering from the rise in prices due to the war in Ukraine. Nigerian Airlines is to stop operations starting Monday due to the cost of jet fuel. And it's not just energy, but also food prices. Russia is Nigeria's third largest supplier of wheat, meaning products like flour are becoming more and more expensive. Our correspondent Chinwe Osondu reports.
Like hundreds of thousands of wholesalers in Lagos, this shop's turnover is in free fall. Already on the rise since 2021, prices of wheat products have soared further since the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Alaja Fatima has been in the grain wholesale business for almost 30 years. She still manages to get supplies despite fewer customers by the day.
We pay for 100 bags of wheat and flour what we used to pay for 300, and our customers can't afford to buy as much as they used to.
The same is true of this bakery. Here, the owner is already wondering about the survival of his business, which opened only a year ago. With the collapse of sales, Olabode is not sure he will be able to keep his business or his 5 employees for much longer. To manage production costs, he's reduced the size of his loaves.
One of the things we just do is that, okay, we tactically reduce the dough, but unfortunately that is not sustainable. It's not sustainable in the fact that the sizes of our pan that is taking that dough, you can't continue reducing it because it's going to have an impact on the production. So we had to take that decision, that decision at a point in time to notify people that we're going to increase it 15 naira.
Nigeria consumes on the average between 5 to 6 million tons of wheat per year. Its domestic production is barely 63,000 tons. This cereal and its derivatives form the daily menu of 100 million people. This restaurant owner has adjusted her prices to the inflation of wheat cost.
With everything being so expensive now, everyone is complaining. But most people do not have any other option but to buy it at that price. When they give you a price at the market, you can only scream and complain, but you have to buy. We cannot eat our money. We must buy irrespective of the price.
Shortages could potentially threaten social stability with general elections less than a year away.
Next, we head to Ghana for the second and final day of an ECOWAS summit on security. At the centre of the talks, the rest of Sahel region, West African defence chiefs gathered to discuss military cooperation. 3 suspended members of the bloc too were invited. France 24's Hanan Farjani has been following the event for us.
ECOWAS chiefs of staffs have convened in Accra as part of an extraordinary summit that also included their Malian, Guinean and Burkinabe counterparts. Those 3 countries have been suspended from the regional entities' bodies after they each underwent a military coup, but the West African bloc decided to allow representatives of those states to attend the meeting because of the urgency of the security situation, according to Ghana's Defense Minister, Dominic Notiwul. The minister also called for greater intelligence sharing to better monitor jihadist groups. We spoke to an Ivorian security source who told us that military forces within the region have to maintain close ties at all times, regardless of what goes on the political front. More than 840 attacks have been reported between January and March 2022. In the last 3 years, 5,300 terrorist attacks in the region have resulted in about 16,000 deaths and more displaced people. Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger have been particularly affected by transnational jihadist factions. The security summit began as the UN Secretary General just completed a West African tour focused on the Sahel crisis. Antonio Guterres ended his visit in Borno State, Nigeria, an epicenter of violent extremism and terrorist activities in the Sahel region, where the Boko Haram insurgency that began in 2009 has claimed more than 40,000 lives.
And finally, we head to Nairobi for the Kip Keino Classic. It's an athletics competition that's part of the World Continental Tour, featuring hammer throws, hurdles, 100-meter races and more. The sporting event is named after a Kenyan Olympic star, retired track and field athlete Kipchoge Keino. Our journalist Vivian Wandera sat down with him to talk about why it's important for the tour to pass through Nairobi.
Kipchoge Keino, thank you so much for joining us today on France 24.
Thank you.
So athletes have come from as far as Jamaica to participate in the Classic. Why is it important for Kenya to host this classic, given that it's the third and last edition of the Kip Keino Classic?
It is important to have here because Kenya, we produce a lot of good athletes. And we would like to also, through Athletic Kenya, to invite other people, athletes from the other part of the world to come and see where we are and what we do. And they accepted, IWF accepted to give us Kip Keino Classic. And I appreciate personally, because I've done a lot for my country. And this is the most important event to be held here in Kenya. And the youth of this country can be able to see.
So it's been 54 years since you won your first gold medal. How does it feel for you to have lived out your life as a legend and to have paved the way for athletes like Eliud Kipchoge and David Rudisha?
For me, it's an honor. And also, when I left running, I became a coach. I coach quite a lot of athletes from our country. And after coaching, I became an official of our Athletic Kenya. Then I was invited also to be world athletes of the world. I also studied Kip Keino High Performance Training Center, which we train quite a lot of athletes. We were able to win the last Olympic in Rio. We came home with 6 gold, 6 silver, and one bronze, which was in fact was about 2 bronze. And we became 13 in the world.
So if you were to change one thing in athletics in Kenya, what would it be?
We need to change proper management of the coaching and management of the team. And the county, every county to be able to develop, and we can be able to assist them to develop coaches and to develop in schools and have a program of the school competition so that we can be able to produce and tap the best athletes in our country. Not only athletics, all sports.
Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you for watching Eye on Africa.